This is your daily market recap for Wednesday, December 7th, 2022.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at GDXJ Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market recap for Wednesday, December 7th, 2022. Hopefully you're having a great day. Let's jump into it. As we said, since essentially Monday, stopping out of positions, thought the market was probably going to go down to sideways with more of a trajectory of the low 390s, potentially with a trap below 390 coming. Still anticipating that. Hence, did nothing the last 2 days, essentially. Just watching, stalking, paying attention. Sometimes I think people overestimate and it's underrated, the patience of trading and the thought processes. A lot of people want to do something today and they forget, well, is the market really going to go bonkers until maybe the Fed speak? Maybe. Is it possible the market is probably stuck until the government can agree on a budget? All these things you have to keep in the back of your mind and have to be at the top of your notes, because if you were just trading to trade, fine, but then keep your expectations very low on days like today. And essentially, the SPY was in a 4-point range, 1% range. Pretty boring. Hence why the VIX, even though the market was down, didn't really jump that high. So just trying to warn people, be thoughtful. Again, a lot of people in the Discord room ask questions, and I ask nicely. Before you come in and ask a question firing at the hip, spend 3 seconds, searching search history. If you're new and you're even in the Discord, check Twitter. I'm typically posting what I was talking about specific news or specific setups or thoughts about what's going on. I'm always trying to keep people updated. And again, go to the channel. If it's usually in the recaps, but maybe it's the question in the education channel, search it. Check it out. Here's the search bar. I really don't mind helping people out when they're trying to help themselves. It just seems kind of, I don't know. Again, I have time. Your time's worth something. You would hope that if I asked for your help, I would have tried to figure out the answer first. That's all. Because again, no one's paying me here other than donations, and I don't want to be a service. I'm not. My goal is not to be some sort of service. It's just help teach you so that you can be a better trader, essentially. And when I say become a better trader, just you fire off your trades, right? Like, what you do. And so I can help, but at a certain point, it's just hard to be everything to everybody. And just, again, I always reference like Jim Cramer, like trying to ask one person for specific answers on everything. That's just, again, you want to be your own boss, but you also want to, part of the about being great is the struggle. Nobody appreciates the struggle. I do. I understand it, because your biggest mistakes and issues are always your biggest learning points. And again, we don't want people to make mistakes if they don't have to, but try to fight for understanding of why, so you don't make the mistakes. That's the one thing I kind of estimated when I was learning. Like, hey, just tell me the answer. And it's like, oh, then I didn't really pay attention to it because it was just fed to me, right? They teach a man to fish, eat forever, just give a man a fish, he's dependent on you, kind of thing. Like, you don't want to be dependent on me completely. Now, again, I'll try to always be there to be helpful, but again, when your specific trades, those are all on you. Consult a financial advisor for more information if you have any questions about anything talked about in this video. Anyway, so again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, please like this video. Let's get into it. Bitcoin, dead money. I've seen a lot of videos out there promoting Bitcoin, just kind of like I was talking about gold today. I don't really trust it when it's holding up and everybody's pumping it. We'll see what happens. Bitcoin looks like it's stuck. This is tough. When I say something's tough, they say don't short a boring market, Livermore said, but also be careful of a boring market too, right? Like, this could go, it's done this before, right? Is there a spike coming? Essentially it should, right? You take down a double bottom, or you go and form a double bottom. Triple bottom's not necessarily a fan of. I'd rather see like a head and shoulders or some sort of higher low like this right here. At this point, you got to get back over 17s with conviction. And if not, your guess is as good as mine, hombre. Oil stops are your friends. You know, again, I like to give people credit, even if they're haters that are trolling. Solomon was saying, hey, I think oil's crap. You were right. It happens. I mean, that's the humility you have to have in trading. Like, I don't mind giving people credit when they're right. And I really don't have a problem admitting when I'm wrong, because if I can't be mentally flexible, I can't get in and out of trades like without thinking. And again, you ever think about going on tilt in poker? Like, that's what people do in their mind in trading, is it's like they just can't give up. They have to hold on. They have to marry this idea. And it's like, sometimes it's just easier to be wrong and move on. Not committed to being right, but doing the right thing. There's a big difference, right? Because the right thing is what? Keeping your losses small, trading around your winners. It's a bear market, knowing it's a trader's market. All these little things. Like, that's what I ask myself. Am I trading well? Because, again, anyone who pretends to win and promise you certainty is certainly lying. I always love that saying, because there's no certainty in trading. The best institutions and hedge funds are looking to win 85% of the time. We're doing the same, but we're not trading obviously as frequent as them, but it's the same kind of stuff. Like, that 15% will define your reward eventually. Sorry to rant on that, but oil, I mean, it broke below it. At this point, it seems like there's some institutions that have some long oil and gas that, probably were long oil and gas going into Russia stuff and anticipating inflation and it picking up. And essentially, I mean, I'm kind of torn here, because this feels like the right levels. But I said ultimately back, months ago, watch the mid 60s. I mean, do we get back down here? Because we know the floor is there for the SPR to refill. It's just did China, or not China, well, maybe even China. Did China and Russia flood the markets before the caps? I don't know. You just don't know. Recession, the recession talk, it makes sense. Oil, typically what? Prices go down. It's just at this point, 2.9% GDP for third quarter. Everything that's going on in the world, it's tough in my mind to expect oil to collapse. Hence where we're getting probably closer to the downside. And we'd like to see these institutions puke at the lows. Like, that's what they do. Market maker, I'm telling you, they put even the biggest name, like institutions, hedge fund, they put them in the meat grinder. Everyone gets screwed. I'm telling you, you guys think it's just like little guys. No. Institutional money sometimes gets murdered. All right. Nat gas. You see it. Talked about it, had a hold like this, like upper fives. Down 30% basically in 7 days. Bounced. Not much conviction today on the futures. I'd be patient. Now, do we have to go back down to the range lows? I don't necessarily know. I mean, it's like, it's so funny now that, like, it's almost that retail has become conditioned to believe that natural gas is 1,000% weather driven, because it's like, it's going to be cold. It's going to be hot. It's going to be cold. And that's how it's trading. And it's like, at a certain point, there's some bigger underlying fundamentals that, not even fundamentals, just circumstances that line up with more importance than just always the weather. Weatherman Dan here. Tell you about natural gas forecast for tomorrow. It's going to be partly cloudy with a high of 70. Short UNG. I don't know, man. I don't know. Dollar, we talked about a holding in 200 days. Said it probably is going to be choppy. Getting close enough to fill in the gap. I personally, near term, I don't really know. It should hold here. If you want to go long dollar, I get it. Novice gap. Keep in mind, there's a lot of gaps. Filling back in. Right? I mean, is it a backfill kind of novice gap, or is it the novice gap? It's tough to know, right? Because the volume isn't that great down here. So, I mean, minimum in your brain, just watch it. That's all. I mean, because at a certain point, dollar volatility is what matters more than the dollar movement. Because when the dollar, again, because I ultimately think the dollar will scream higher before some sort of debt default potentially in the future. But near term, I mean, we hit our targets. So if you hit your targets, you took your money. Now what? Good question. I mean, it's like TLT today. Like, I mean, people were talking about shorting it, and I liked the way it looked this morning. But I just sat here and didn't do anything. I said, all right, let's see what happens at the 0.618. You got within fudge, like 8-10 cents of it. Man, you just have to pay attention. I mean, this is why shorting the bonds here is tough. I mean, this is why people are going, all right, well, I guess the market's going to roll over because yields are going lower. Well, maybe the Fed, maybe the market is short-term interpreting because Jamie Dimon and every slime ball out there is saying heavy recession next year, that rates should go lower, TLT higher. I personally think it's a combination of stagflation, and that's where I'm interested to see if rates go actually back to their previous highs, maybe even higher potentially, because this CPI number, these numbers, they're going to look pretty good month over month, year over year, but if you don't fix the supply constraint issues and economic growth starts cooking again, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, you're going to see inflation rear its ugly head, right? I don't know how to draw this. I'm just trying to figure out if there's any edge here. But does that make sense, y'all? Yeah, it looks way better. It seemed to hold that. So at this point, if you're longing, TLT, I just be careful. I mean, you got to be careful. You absolutely have to be careful. Because at this point, here's the thing. The more you're up, the less you own. I would anticipate at some point, because again, maybe the market is anticipating some sort of Fed BS in the sense of like, the more they talk, they might talk the recession in. But this is where you don't know for a fact. That's where when you get into the Fed meeting, you better start taking profits. And again, I understand the short here. It makes sense to me. But at this point, if you're watching the TLT, and if oil ain't bottoming, then it's probably not time. Like CF and all these material names not really looking that great. The VIX talked about it thoroughly. Chop bottom, not surprised, bounce at 22 to 24. Well, here you hit the 20-day. Now you're over it. So I'm at this point, I'm like, why would anyone buy the market here if it's over the 20-day? Because it seems very likely it's going to make a higher high here at some point. Now, I'm not saying you're going back to 30s immediately, but you're probably going to get the third 23, 22, 24 special, which, just be patient. SPY. Now, we said when it broke the 200-day, maybe we talked about the 100-day. Well, now that we've played this game in sentiment and now you're able to hang out here and you're able to watch, it makes more sense to me to break 390 level as a trap. Now, people are saying, oh, doji has to turn around. Well, here was a doji here at the 20-day, right? And then it went slightly lower, right? Doge, then goes up and then goes lower. Doge, retest. I mean, this isn't like this is where I think people who are newer to VPA go, oh, I saw a doji. I'm good. Well, here was a doji down here, and then a little lower, then goes. Like, you don't always anticipate the dojis in between big, what I would consider inflection points, to necessarily mean as much as a big doji here, a big doji down here, an outside reversal here. Like that candle here is kind of a doji-ish. But right here at the 100-day, that's where it can be a little confusing. I just showed you literally how many times has it touched something and looked like it was going to Dogecoin, and it goes lower, right? Right there, went slightly lower. That one retested. Where's the other one we saw? Here was a doji, right? You just don't know. Remember, doji's indecision, not necessarily a inflection point. Just keep that in mind. They're powerful, they're important, but you don't always bank on them being like the inflection point unless at extremes. Like, they're way more powerful at highs and lows, right? And when I say highs and lows, like extremes, right? Extreme. Q's back testing this funkadelic trend line, right? Big funk. Why did that line not? Oh yeah, that's right. I remember my computer. I leave it on too much. Oh yeah. Here you go. Q. I remember I had all these lines. I'm trying to delete them. If you're watching the daily recaps, which again I appreciate, because if you're gonna ask questions and you literally watch the recap and you go, dude, you said this. Okay, cool. How can I help you? But if people are like, I think you said this, and it's like, yeah, well, I said that a couple days ago, but have you watched the Twitter feed? Have you been in the Discord room? Are you watching the videos? Because talk about the prices update. Remember, we're not stagnant. We don't just believe one thing and we stick to it. Like, that's dangerous. We're slow to change, but we're evidence-based, right? And so now that you're down here on the Qs, 50 days really important, right? 50 day can be pretty damn important. We'll see. Just be aware. Remember, tech has got all the risk. IWM down today slightly. Doge hit the 100, bounced or backed off. I don't know why you wouldn't hit the 50. Here you go. Like, get a day below the 50. Play the game. It just seems very logical to me. And again, take notes. IWM 50 day below. Ideal? Question mark? We'll see. Remember, now we talk about it lagging here. Let's see. Let's see it lag. Remember, SPY will follow last and peak last, while the IWM typically peaks and bottoms first. Primero. Gold. Lot of headlines today on why gold's up. I saw this headline about China, again, starting to buy gold for the first time in 3 years. That whole narrative to me, and again, Zero Hedge, Kitco going nuts about gold, and I'm like, yeah, 0.786. Just if it hits the 200-day, I'm reshorting this. Because again, it's one of those things where the paper market, if the Feds look like they're going to do less, and they're anticipating, like, they play this game of, like, you know, it's like the three bears in the porridge, right? Like, just right. Like, gold ain't going to rally on that news, in my opinion. It's probably going to take the beat down. It's going to take the tax loss selling, potentially, right? I guess you're right back where you started for the year. I don't know. Yeah, essentially. So we'll see. I mean, I believe there is a dip to buy later, but this isn't it. And this isn't also, I mean, my man Jay Solstice, he's the only one really shorting that I'm talking to, and I'm like, I believe, I understand. Silver blow off topish, right? Like novice gap. Remember, the first dips typically get bought. So if you're like ever shorting something coming off the highs, I mean, you always want it to be like this, right? But typically it's kind of like this, right? You know? Pop, chop, then drop, right? Here it is. Another pop, boom. Another pop, then boom. That is always potential. That's why you trade around the entries when you go large, knowing that, hey, if it goes and it just dumps, great, you win. And if it doesn't and you can chop around it, you win more. You kind of nail your entry. You can get more aggressive, essentially, when the lines become even more definite, right? Second test, lower high, whatever, helps you gauge the next move. GDXJ, popping up to the 200-day, getting close enough for government work. What was it? I mean, 8 cents shy. It's been a recurring pattern today. Cents shy. How much cents? Dollars and cents. Yeah. I'm looking at this. Again, I think the short makes much more sense. GDX short 200-day. Nice. Very nice. AG not holding up. So here it is. Channel low, bouncing. Doesn't look that bad, but it doesn't really look that good. I mean, the question is like, if silver and all these metals are flying, why the hell is this at channel low? Look like it's about to break its neck. AEM. See, this is what you would think it would more look like. AEM, this feels like a novice gap. The wick again. I mean, some of these names, like Newmont, you know, I think they went XDiv. Yeah, here you go. Down. It was pretty crazy take because I was watching the 10-minute. Where are you? No, sorry, the hourly. Come on to daddy. Come on in. Check this out. I mean, as soon as it popped, I mean, nothing. And gold rallied in the end of the day. Couldn't even catch up. Doesn't look that good. I mean, I think Newmont is absolute trash near term. What was the low of the day on Newmont? Was it 46.73? So it got down. It's hard to see with that stupid XDiv. But yeah, not really that great, right? Oh, printer's waking up. PAAS. Here you go. I guess the wife is running the printer. Holding the 100-day doesn't look terrible. Again, all these names, I mean, I'm not anticipating them to rip higher. So do yourself a favor. Be thoughtful. That's all I can really say at this point. Because when I see this stuff, I go, I don't really like the deal they are doing with Umana, right? We all agree. So I apologize. That is incredibly loud and obnoxious, but here you go. We'll continue going. I would be careful here. I'd watch the 100-day. At this point, chopping. Yeah, get your paper. That is damn loud and obnoxious. I'm going to get 2-star review online. Oh, and you're running it again while I'm running the lives. Excuse me, don't ignore the gunshot in the background. Pow. Jesus, how unthoughtful. That's what marriage is about, right? Just enough to not kill them. All right, AMD, tech. Below the 20-day, back testing here. These don't really look that good. They don't look that good. But we saw with, like, posted with Taiwan Semi, I wouldn't be surprised if you get some sort of rally back. But here's the biggest thing. Like, hopefully if you were watching chips, did you take note of that there's literally congressmen that are asking, geez, that is loud. Are you printing a whole dictionary? Jesus Christ.
2 more pages.
2 more pages. You guys hear this? I mean, it sounds like literally someone printed the dictionary.
I mean, you talk so loud, I didn't think it would be a problem.
Well, it is a problem. Right now, you can see the issue with it. When I was talking about this earlier, is like if there's congressmen actually advocating for chip usage from China, mind-boggling. No, like that is not going to be good for chips near term. But maybe you see the headline of the fight going back and forth. I don't know. NVIDIA, 20-day. Again, these names don't look that bad. Like, because that's when I heard that headline, I was like, my head about to explode. I'm like, which of these ass clowns, holes, are literally advocating for Chinese chips? I mean, we're in a cold war with these guys, and they're going to use every advantage they can. It's like, all right, well, did you just card-carrying CCP holders just, I guess, announce themselves in Congress? Congratulations. This is hard. Again, holding up. I mean, because you would think with the market slipping down here, the stuff would be making lower lows and lower highs. No, it's still channeling up. I don't usually talk about Taiwan Semi, but I was, someone was like the J-hook pattern. I was like, yeah, it kind of looks like it. Holding the 20-day, 100-day bottom cross. I mean, like this same little like pattern where it just had to come up to the 100-day. Does it need to get up to the 200-day? That's what I'm worried about for SMH. And you know what? We could be wrong. Again, we've talked about 415, 420. If the market turns back up and the Fed say what you need to say, what they need to say to get people excited and get Jamie Dimon looking again like he misdirected the whole market. Oh, imminent recession in Q1, Q2. Bing! Markets rally to close the year. That would not be surprised. We'll do a Real Men of Genius Part 7, Jamie Dimon version. Again, crack a beer. Real Men of Genius. No, but you know what I mean? Like, then the SMH might be able to get back up into the range highs. Choppy, sloppy, toppy, right? You did break the 20-day. Let's see what happens tomorrow. I mean, I would love to see a gap down and see like this, the gap down, then the rally back. Then, and again, it probably won't be that big of a gap, but it could be something around the 100-day. Rally back, give it to us, right? At some point. That would be the better short, my opinion. If you're short already, congratulations. Just be on red alert for bouncy bounce. Adobe, yeah, Doji below the 20-day. If anyone's trading that, let me know. I'm just kind of watching these. They don't look terrible, right? Apple, now this is a little ominous, right? You break out up, you're down below, but here you still closed above those lows. Why do they make it so damn difficult? No, and the realization is 140 area has to hold. Tech has all the headline risk, right? You could say that channel low broke. I get it. Well, should we go lower? We shall see. I mean, technically you should, right? Just the volume's not. Again, it's crazy how like this is why you got to watch these levels, because if you get back above it, it's trappy. And again, my favorite short on Apple is not at the lows, right? It would be a freaking gift up into the 150s. Like an absolute stuff it in your Christmas stocking and buy like some pooties, some March putties. Maybe not even that far out, man. You could probably go like February, maybe. I don't know, whatever. And trade around it, right? Short-term, long-term calls, puts, whatever. Amazon fills the gap, right? I guess technically not. the gap is right here. Remember, it closed here. Sorry. It filled this little gapish area. This looks so bad. Looks so bad. I don't know. I mean, you maybe watch the 86 level, but then it comes back. I just pray for bounces. CRM, here you go. Channel lows, please bounce. And maybe you can short this in the 140s. All these software names. I mean, it's like there's no money going to this. But remember, that's where I think money is going into, what do you think? Probably bonds at the moment. Because if commodities aren't safe, tech ain't safe, and the market is kind of, what you would call, teetering, then that makes sense why tech still looks like crap. Commodities look a little sloppy, choppy, and then what? Bonds getting the money. Remember, money ain't destroyed. Rotates. Guggenheim. I don't know, always want to say that. Anyone been to the Guggenheim Museum in New York? Yeah, whatever. Sorry. I don't know. Gotta hold 90s. Mid 90 area, say 93, 94. Meta. Yeah, down big yesterday, doji today. And now again, nothing here looks like the market's about to crack, but I would really love to see one more trap. Microsofty, Mr. Softy, Microsoft, 20-day, doji. Need more information. NDAQ, congrats if you're short this. Here it comes back into the box. You son of a biscuit. Son of a biscuit. Pay the man his money. Breaks out of the channel, comes back in. Now, you can't short this unless you just want to chase, and you hope the market unloads. My best case scenario now is like, it's this right here. Y'all remember this? Chops makes another attempt at the range. Maybe it's like this trend line, then fails. Like, I'm going to add a little donut hole right here. Just kind of watch this. That might be the max. Oh, well, it's wrong color. Let's put a triangle. What color are triangles? Oh, they're blue too. Everybody's blue. Okay. Well, then let's just put like, oh, Jesus. Everything is wrong. Why don't we move our alert? Why don't we do that? Y'all see it. 68s. It was right is right and wrong is wrong and timing is hard. MicroStrategy. Looks tight at the bottom. I mean, if Bitcoin makes a little higher high, I mean, this thing could pop up another 20, 30 points. Just keep that in mind. Netflix, I am eyeing this one hard AF. It's acting better. I'm really hoping we get, you see my alert here, like in low 290s, because then I will stab it and buy some probably calls, maybe a little bit of stockage. Expect 330s. If the market rallies. Roblox. This is another one on my radar. Man, this thing is basting at the lows, right? Like it is just getting very enticing with all the basting, right? Because when it does this, it typically rips. If the market goes higher, somewhat, basting, you like this, you like that new term, because it makes it you start salivating at the idea that this thing could turn into a ripper. Now, how big? I don't know, 30, 40 to 45? I mean, 41, I don't know. That's a pretty damn good return. Ain't gonna complain about that. Only thing I'll complain about is the wife running the freaking printer as I'm running the recap, and she printed the dictionary. But whatever, I'll get over it. Backtesting the trend line, Tesla. Looks all right. In the sense of the backtest. This is interesting. Now, again, I don't know how much upside there could be. I mean, is Tesla going to do another secondary at some point? Maybe. You got the inflection points. I can wrap my head around it. Oh, NFGC, they had a secondary after hours. Now, again, cheap stocks, this is what they do, man. Again, until gold to me is bottoming, like going really higher, these names could play games, and I'm not surprised because they need to raise capital. They've got gold, they got to dig up. The easy situation is for them to be what? Sold, right? Someone buy them. Well, they win it on their own, and they're going to take the big risk of developing themselves. All right, let's see it back down in the threes. Awesome sauce. Awesome. Everything is awesome. All right, commodities. Man, this is a long video. I apologize. X. That does not look good. Like that doesn't look good to me, right? That doesn't look good. That's here you go. Dojis at times like this. You hope it's this though. I'd be watching the inflection at 25. Nope. Oh, sorry. Newcorp. Got to speed this up. Chopping up at the range highs doesn't look that good. See what happens when it comes back to the 20-day. Now, again, this all stuff could all just peel just like an onion, just slightly, because it is up nicely. And this maybe gives the reason the market to like short-term capitulate. You good? You good with that? Is that? I mean, again, I've been trying to explain to people like you should be good with that, right? That looks pretty good. You know, is this a gap down? I know you've had these gaps and start some sort of pullbacks. All these names, I'm like, Arrow. Again, I don't want to talk about VALE that much. Hit the 28 bounce. Someone's like, oh, it's acting strong. Copper. Oh, look at that wick. And it closes right yesterday's. These are tough. Now we understand copper shortages. Yeah, it's coming. But this is the thing about the market. Like near term, it can act like what? You know, it can have like this. Again, if you don't anticipate the traps, and the better you get at trading, the more you just kind of rely on them. And if you don't happen, I guess, but they're just much easier to rely on. Like everybody crap out. CCJ, the worst trade of the year, selling puts up at 23s with the VIX at 21. I feel bad for anyone who did that. Now, I know you got June, my friend, if you're listening, but you don't do that. You just don't do that. Oh, I'll take hold of the stock. Well, we don't know. Westinghouse could be a complete disaster. We like the idea of them vertically integrating, but I don't. The stock just looks like dead money. It kind of looks like X, but near the lows, like it's just in a big base. Let the basting continue. CF said I like this. Didn't pull the trigger today. Why? I mean, we're so close to the 200-day. Some sort of higher low. I mean, it's just, again, if the market's not capitulated, why do I want to buy it? I like it at 90. Now, if someone watch, if it goes to 95, someone's gonna be like, "You told me 98, Dan. You told me." I guess that's like a crappy Trump voice. You said 98. Well, just watch the area. You know this guy. You know this guy. He's a wild card. He likes to take out lows. This is like Charlie Day. Wild card. Gotchas. So just keep an eye on it. It's trading a big range, right? Mosaic. A little more comedy tonight, I guess. He got a little bit of buyers down here. It makes sense. But I think they announced they were shutting off some sort of... I remember I looked at it. One of their facilities. Is that bearish, bullish? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Good question. Doesn't look bad. NTR. This one's looking very interesting to me. Because, right, we talked about like the zone down here. Getting below it. Close back above it. Could you see a 75 handle? I mean, I've got an alert at 75. If you see NTR at 75, call me. No, just assume I'm probably going to take a stab, depending on where the market is. AA Aeron. I told y'all. I mean, someone was like, oh, it's holding up real well yesterday. Your whole thesis, again, based on whatever short-term news was, I didn't feel like, again, it was going to hold. 73 or 43, 44 area. Just watch it. I mean, if nothing looks safe here, if the market's going to do a little onion peeling. XLF. Now, this goes onto your short list, but not here. Expecting we probably hit the 200-day, right? That's right. And then a bounce. And then that bounce. And you pray it's somewhere between 35, 42, and 36. Because then now, you should have a lower high, kind of like this complex head and shoulders pattern. Exhausted. Morgan Stanley laying off, folks. Like, you got some catalysts here. Morgan Stanley, speaking of, holding the 0.382. Not surprising. Are you surprised? I'm not. So we'll see what happens here. JP Morgan, I think it was, flat again today. Real man of genius. Like, this doesn't look as bad. Let me roll into the GS. GS 450. No. I mean, I don't think it's going to break when it hits this area. I think it's going to bounce. That's my guess. So watch financials, keep an eye on them, right? XBI, this one is just kind of dead money. I mean, it's kind of like watching Bitcoin, and you're just like, oh, okay, good luck. You can buy dips, sell rips, but you got to be like on top of it. Solar, tan. Down barely, holding around the 100-day. Need more information. Oh, the doji at the bottom. Well, could it be a doji sandwich leading to lower lows? Or is it a doji because it's a 2-day multiple range, trap, and then go? Or is you don't really have like the wick that I like. It kind of feels more like this. Remember this? If you do, you don't, whatever. This kind of action where it's like, okay, looks like it's going to go. Range lows. Oh, hey, we got you. Well, nope. Now we got you. Biatch. Got you. Does that make sense? Like, you see why I'm laughing here the last couple days where people are like, I got to do something. I'm like, man, let the traps play. It's coming. There's something coming. And I'm always like, do y'all smell it? I'm like, something smells fishy. Market smells fishy. It's like it really wants you to do something. And it's like, no. ENPH, we talked about it, 20-day. Look at that. Zip, bam, comes back into it. I personally think so. That's a left-right combo, technically, right? Should be bearish. If you are a bear, you do not want to see this thing get over 325. Just adding, where the hell? Yeah, I guess my alerts all disappeared. There you go. It's like, hold on 1 second. You know what I'm going to do while I'm talking about all this? I'm going to hit save. Save page. Okay, perfect. So watch it. If it gets a 325, you really shouldn't have any issues. You know, like if you're a bear, yeah, there's a problem. If you're a bull, maybe you're going back up to the highs. Sedgerton got an upgrade today. Man, gets right up to the range highs. Hammers out. Dojis, whatever you want to call it. Dojin. I mean, you could call this like an awkward hammer upside down, what they call the dragonfly doji. Yeah, there's a lot of different descriptions for all of these. I guess there's not a ton. Gravelstone, dragonfly, hammer, Thor. No, I'm just kidding. More information. That's all. Doesn't look terrible. First Solar, you're getting a bunch of downgrades lately. I'm glad everyone else sees what we're seeing. At an old fib extension, 1.25. Did it fill the gap? Yeah. Oh, SpaghettiOs. Yeah. Keep an eye on the gap. Please mind the gap at 154, 153. Yeah. Remember, anybody who's played with First Solar before knows like it'll be rather frustrating. It'll go below the 20-day and it'll come back up, and then it'll come back up, and then it'll. This is where it gets hard. Like if oil and gas bottom, the big red wave did not happen. So now you got the blue dogs who love their, what you call it, alternative energy, AE, whatever. Doesn't look that bad. We'll see. Again, I'm like itching to short, but it's like, all right, just don't get. Remember, that itch can turn into a rash. Be patient, my friend. Put a cream on it for now. HYG, we talk about corporate debt. It doesn't look that bearish to me. It held the 20-day. We'll see what happens here. Let's end it with oil. Oil. We started with oil and gas, but look at these things. It's like, look out below. So, if you are watching oil, right, you're getting to a point where now I'd be on red alert for a blowout. And not meaning like you and I having to we just ate 100 oysters and a steak and 10 beers, blowout. I'm talking about an institution potentially liquidating at the lows from margin calls, because it ain't going to be my toilet that's clogged. It's going to be a big institution imploding. And this happens a lot in oil gas. How low can you go on remember, USO, we don't know. Somewhere in the 60s. We'd imagine somewhere down here, minimum. Hopefully those analogies help you understand what a blowout is. It can be pretty bad. Institutions can literally blow up. Nat gas, okay, you hit the channel lows, you bounce. Remember, this thing is deteriorating compared to the UNG. Weatherman Dan here. Forecast, volatility. I mean, it's going to get cold next week. I just don't want to, again, something's not right about this. Do you smell it? Am I the only one who smells this? It's not a fart. Something fishy. Something very fishy about this. Check your pipes. No. ExxonMobil, Talked about it once it broke the 20-day. Beware, it could get choppy, and then, well, now what? I'm watching down here, but I also really want to see 99. You know, the old, what was it, John Candy movie? Old 99er, whatever that steak. You got to eat the 99-ounce steak. That's what I'd be watching this box. I think that's more logical. I got to do XOP at some point. PXD, someone's like, oh, look at it, I'm buying it today. And it's like, okay. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, if you think oil and gas have bottomed, then no, I don't get it. Or, no, sorry, I do get it. But if you don't think oil and gas have bottomed, it's like, no, I don't want these. I do not want these. I mean, it's just a higher low and a lower high consolidating after dropping, 20 points. Like, okay, well, that's pretty typical, right? Like, you could get, I'm trying to think of, like, where is it? I mean, this is hard because this is like, we're anticipating up channel. I mean, could it pop that much? I don't know. It's probably more like this kind of crap right here, right? It just plays game, and then that's what I want to see. Is I want to see like a couple days of crap. Maybe maybe oil peak low, or it gets to the bottom during OPEX and FOMC and everything else. XOP, couldn't break the channel. Guess what? 200-day. I've got my alarm set for in these 120s. Today's action, I mean, the biggest short supposedly online is got to short oil and gas names. Okay, well, as we know, market maker will sometimes give people what they want to get them really digging in deep. So I appreciate everybody. Again, sorry about the printer rants. Please talk to me if you got real estate thoughts, because I'm telling you right now, I think real estate's going to double or triple in the next 5 to 10 years because there's just an absolute shortage. Picking your price ranges is right. I mean, eventually at some point, income will increase because of inflation. I mean, you're seeing it a lot when people bouncing around. You're seeing eventually, like, where like the top people are getting huge raises because there is a, they have to, cover people's expenses, and they know like when people see CPI 6, 8, 10%, companies know, like, all right, we better jump up our pay. Well, eventually that trickles down. Remember, or not remember? Just be aware of that. And so, if you think about the 70s and 80s when housing went, had the exact same thing, shortages because of supply issues, just like now, prices increased pretty damn quickly. And I don't know if 6% is a great interest rate for the long term, but it's not a bad one that I'm used to them. I mean, 6% interest rate with appreciation of 12 to 15% a year, expecting a double or triple. I mean, I'll pay that interest. And also, too, if I can get someone to cover it as an investment property, free money, right? And tax advantages, whatever. 10 properties, 10 years, y'all know the plan. I appreciate everybody. Again, please, before you ask questions in the Discord room, unless you're really struggling, then DM me. But asking continuous questions of what do you think that, please do a little bit of work, because I know what I've answered. I know what I'm saying out there. I'm very cognizant of what I say because I'm trying to be 100% transparent and let people know, hey, I'm not doing anything. I'm waiting for this news. I'm waiting for the I'm waiting for what's going to happen in Russia. I'm waiting for more likely than the bills that have to get passed through Congress for the budget, like the omnibus, all that crap. That's the stuff that is a little concerning going into the feds. All right. Love you guys. Peace out. Have a great night.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.